Welcome to Vanadium. I'm Chris Rankin. The more I learn about this mad world, the more mysterious it seems. Where is the seat of the soul? Where in your body is the primary hold of your essence, your awareness? Where are you physically located? Behind the eyes? In your heart? Where in your heart? In which chamber? How large is the soul? Does the soul really weigh 21 grams, the value determined by physician Duncan McDougall in 1907? For centuries, some religions and mystics have claimed that consciousness rests in a special spot in the brain referred to as the third eye. There are ancient texts with anatomical diagrams showing exactly where the third eye is. Modern medicine has shown this mysterious organ does in fact exist, exactly as described in the old texts. They had it right back then. In recent years, the third eye, or pineal gland, has been studied systematically by scientists, with some very interesting and somewhat controversial results. The pineal gland looks a lot like an eye. Many other animals have them as well. The pineal glands of lizards sometimes contain lenses and irises, the important parts of an actual working eye, and they're just sitting right in the middle of the lizard's brain. Studies have shown this gland does play a vital role in the way the brain integrates information from the environment into the experience of life. There are some good reasons to think that if conscious awareness does pick a spot to hang out, maybe the pineal gland is a reasonable choice. To me, though, the intersection between mind and body seems to run deeper than the physiology of just one gland. For instance, there's an experience, a condition that's been shared by hundreds of millions of people across the globe, where this location of self-awareness or consciousness is ripped from the interior of the body and into the outside world. During these out-of-body experiences, a person perceives the world from a location outside their physical body. The out-of-body experience, where this sacred location that we all take for granted undergoes unplanned and sometimes planned relocation, isn't a rare phenomenon impacting just a few people here and there. It's practically a universal experience, affecting 1 in 10 people multiple times in their lives. It's been described in science and art across centuries. Probably the most popular example of this type of altered state, the near-death experience, is one type of out-of-body experience, or OBE. They can also happen to perfectly healthy people in all stages of their lives, in many cases multiple times throughout life. Some have cultivated the ability to generate out-of-body experiences nearly at will. OBEs were known during the Victorian period in spiritualist literature as traveling clairvoyants. In old Indian scriptures, such a state of consciousness is also referred to as turiya, which can be achieved by yoga and meditation, during which a yogi may be liberated from the duality of mind and body, allowing them to intentionally leave the body and later return to it. Writers in the field of parapsychology and occultism refer to these experiences as astral projection, and that a soul or spirit can detach itself from the body and visit distant locations. There's a link between this altered state and sleep. Those experiencing OBEs sometimes report an association with the lucid dreaming state, falling asleep physically without actually losing awareness. Legend has it, Thomas Edison used this semi-dream state to help with developing his inventions. He would rest a silver dollar on his head while sitting in a chair with a metal bucket in his lap. As he drifted off, the coin would slip off his head and clang into the bucket, restoring just a touch of the inventor's alertness. Salvador Dali was said to use a similar paranoiac-critical method to gain odd visions that inspired his paintings. He was known to deliberately teeter between awake and asleep states, which helped him to induce OBEs. Another reported common phenomenon related to OBE is sleep paralysis, otherwise known as night terrors. This correlation was documented by Kevin Nelson and his colleagues from the University of Kentucky in 2007 in the Out-of-Body Experience and Arousal study published in Neurology. The study discovered that people who have out-of-body experiences are much more likely to suffer from sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is an out-of-body experience where the affected gains the interest of a hostile entity or demon who follows them home and feeds on their body while they sleep. In a similar manner as the near-death experience, extreme physical effort during activities such as high-altitude climbing and marathon running can also induce OBEs. A sense of bilocation may be experienced, with both ground and air-based perspectives being experienced simultaneously. Imagine being both inside and outside yourself at the same time. The more science investigates these experiences, the more ways it discovers to generate them. It doesn't take magic to create out-of-body experiences. Besides meditation, lucid dreaming, or nearly dying, there are more straightforward methods to get there. There is a long list of items in the pharmacopoeia, including a whole class of drugs called dissociatives. These induce out-of-body sensations as one of their core effects. That's why many drugs in the dissociative class are used as surgical anesthetics. In addition to influence by drugs, this condition can result randomly as a result of physical trauma, illness, and also high fever. It's been well documented to occur to patients during surgical procedures. Out-of-body experiences have also been known to occur as a result of severe psychological stress. What if the connection between the body and the mind is not the default? Maybe the human experience of consciousness linked to a body is an outlier. Maybe what we experience is not the norm. Maybe different forms of consciousness are blanketing the world around us, and we're just lucky enough to have bodies to be able to navigate the environment and communicate. Out-of-body experiences have been the subject of fairly thorough scientific investigation in recent years, with some noteworthy and interesting results. This is from the New England Journal of Medicine, published in November 2007, called Visualizing Out-of-Body Experience in the Brain. The author writes, "We report a case of a 63-year-old man in whom stimulation with implanted electrodes as a means of suppressing intractable tinnitus also consistently induced out-of-body experiences. Stimulation at 3.7 volts in 40 Hz bursts with 1 millisecond pulse width and 1 millisecond interval between spikes reproduced in a controlled way a state of disembodiment without an alteration to the patient's level of consciousness." The patient had the experience within 1 second after the initiation of stimulation. His perception of disembodiment always involved a location about 50 centimeters or 20 inches behind his body and off to the left. Imaging of the subject's brain showed altered behavior during the out-of-body experience. The author also notes there are other patients who reported similar altered states of consciousness when the brain was electrically stimulated. Maybe the mind doesn't need to leave the body. Maybe that link is something of an illusion in the first place. The tether between the spirit and body is something that we take for granted, but it's been shown this mysterious connection is tenuous and can be shifted or severed very easily in all sorts of different ways. Maybe the link between the mind and the body is both temporary and partial. And just maybe there's part of us that's always traveling. Thank you very much. This is Chris Rankin with Vanadium.